To have the ability to speak in a world where a voice is stronger than a fist is a right. To have the ability to hold an opinion free from intervention or intrusion is a right. To have the ability to express oneself openly, despite sexuality, direction, gender, or political stance is a right. So then, why is it wrong to shout for a belief and retaliate under brutal force? Why are the people of Iran being punished for exercising their natural-born rights? Reporters Without Borders compiled a list of the world's freest countries. Iran placed 175th out of 179 ranked nations. Although Iran's human rights violations are becoming less frequent, oppressive leaders are still controlling their people with impaired rights and convictions of vaguely worded offenses. This action of censorship violates several human rights expressed in declarations of human rights composed by the United Nations.
Activist and journalist Farnak Farid was arrested after participating in several peaceful demonstrations that requested government aid in preventing Lake Uromi from drying up. She is being charged with insulting the supreme leader, propaganda against the system, and acting against national security. Although her right to express her concern is protected by the Declaration of Human Rights, Farid was still arrested and held in prison, where she was severely abused until she was released on bail 42 days later.
7 men and women were arrested after appearing in a YouTube video that showed themselves publicly dancing along to a popular American song. 6 of the citizens were released on bail, but the alleged director of the video, Sasan Soleimani, is still being held in prison. The act of dancing in public is typically forbidden in Iran, especially between men and women. The women who appeared in the video were also tried with not wearing hijab, a similar charge that was placed on Nasrin Sotoudeh, a lawyer dedicated to defending human rights. She was sentenced to 11 years in prison for giving her opinion on the recent 2009 presidential election during an interview while not exhibiting proper attire, and for her participation in the Association of Human Rights Defenders.
The International Campaign for Human Rights in Iran is a nonpartisan, independent nonprofit organization stationed in New York. The campaign supports the Iranian people's struggle for human rights and magnifies their voices so that they may be heard on the international stage. This campaign has become one of the major organizations providing relevant and reliable information about the situation in Iran. Other major organizations include the Human Rights Watch, Amnesty International, and the Committee to Protect Journalists. These organizations use effective communication methods to raise awareness on the human rights violations occurring in Iran. Bringing attention to these injustices and supporting the Iranian people through their struggle seems to be all we can do to help the situation. Protests against the Iranian government could be potentially helpful, but that raises the risk of further human rights violations. Individuals can get involved by contacting these organizations or expressing their concern through written letters addressed to Iranian officials.
Police brutality has made the system of injustice easy. Civil unrest is guaranteed when voices are silenced and media is stripped of its truth. A government with bloody hands has the clean water and economy to promote an improved state of living and immunity to disease, but yet there still exists the disease of suppression. The cure of this infection being equality, absence of censorship, and all-out freedom is being restricted by Iran's suppressive government. And once the nation finally acknowledges the people's hopes and dreams, their fulfillment will be necessary, and the problem will no longer exist.